Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the Almita Made channel. My name is Alma, and I'm here to chat about all things making, mainly sewing, and definitely sewing in this, the final What's the Buzz episode. These are my little chats about the Great British Sewing Bee TV show, Series 11, and today we are here to chat about the big, grand, wonderful finale. Woo! So, for the first time, there is no theme to the week, apart from, of course, it being the big finale that decides who wins this series of the Great British Sewing Bee. And I will start by saying that this is full of spoilers. So if you haven't watched the final episode of the Sewing Bee, please go and do that now and then come back for this chat if you fancy it. And I also can't show you screenshots of what the sewists made because the BBC hates that, but I will link below to the Great British Sewing Bee Instagram account where they post lots of pictures and videos of everything I'm talking about. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm wearing in a little bit because it pertains, as always, to the episode. I try to find something that links in with what the episode was all about. Obviously, there was no theme, but there was a garment that we're going to get into in just a second that I happened to have in my me-made wardrobe. So that was very fortuitous. So the final, we had three incredible sewists. We had Yasmin, Orla and Kaz. I think they are all really, really great. I was very happy to see those three in the final. I think there was something for everyone. They make very different things. The style of things they make are very different, but I think they're all very, very good and very inspiring in their own ways. So I was excited to see. I am such a sucker for the story, the little stories behind. So when they interview the three finalists and their families, I was tearing up. I am like that. I genuinely will tear up at an advert. I am that person. I'm like, show me a donkey and a donkey sanctuary and I'm gone. But even, I don't know, show me a dad taking his little girl to the ballet and I'm gone. It's very easy to make me cry. So the background stories of the three finalists really got to me. I loved it. And especially Yasmin, when she was talking about her dad who passed away and who was her inspiration to start to sew because he was a tailor. I loved that. It was really sweet, and it's lovely to see why each person loves to sew so much. I think that makes me more interested in seeing what they make, if that makes sense. Not that you have to have a story, like, you know, on the X Factor years ago, you just had to. I think that's done. Is that show still happening? I don't think so. But, you know, it became like a cliche that you had to have a story. You couldn't just be a good singer. But I think seeing, it doesn't have to be a big story, but seeing the background of how people came to sewing and why they love it so much, why it fills their day and it's all they do, like in their spare time, I think that's fascinating and I love to see that. So that was a great start. Also a great start, the costume department for Sarah Pascoe and Esme Young, because there was a lot of animal print in sequined fabric and I couldn't have asked for anything better, to be completely honest. So Sarah was wearing like a pencil skirt made of a sequined leopard print, loved, with a very pretty blouse. I just loved the whole outfit. And as a side note, I'm very sad that this was the last episode of the Sewing Bee that Sarah Pascoe will ever present, although the replacement, whose name completely escapes me right now, but I really like her. I loved her on Taskmaster, for example. And she actually has a series. She's written a series called Alma is Not Normal. That is my name, and I'm probably not. I should watch that. In preparation for the next Sewing Bee, I will watch it. But anyway, what a way to go out for Sarah Pascoe. She looked incredible. She was funny. She was lovely. She wore a fake moustache. What more do you want? And then Esme was wearing a, would you call that color blocked? Print blocked jacket, which was half leopard, half zebra, in sequined fabric. Sequins. I loved it. Patrick, I say this quite often, actually. Maybe I haven't said it on these chats, but I think he could make a bigger effort. Give him a sparkly tie. Come on. Like, he needs to bring up the glam when he's standing next to those two fabulous women. So the pattern challenge for the final was, I thought, the right kind of challenge because it looked very simple, but having made one of those, I know it's not simple. So they had to make a bias cut cowl dress, which I just happened to be wearing one. So this is the Sicily slip dress sewing pattern, and it's virtually identical to the bias cut dresses that the finalists had to make. If you want to hear more about this particular slip dress, which is in a newspaper print, of course inspired by Carrie Bradshaw of Sex and the City fame. If you want to hear more about this, you can have a look at my vlog that's all about sewing Carrie Bradshaw's wardrobe. I will put a link to it, of course, so you can have a look if you're interested in that. But basically, the pattern that the finalists had to make was like, even the shape of the pattern pieces, I was like, that's literally what the Sicily slip dress looks like. So it's not a hard dress to construct, but it is cut on the bias. It requires a slippery fabric, a slinky fabric, which is hard to sew anyway. Then you're cutting it on the bias and things grow. It's one of those that you've got the pattern piece, you cut it, and a minute later it's a different shape, which we saw with Kaz. She'd cut a strap and it had grown like, I'm going to say like 20%. Not my favorite kind of sewing, but it does make for a gorgeous dress. I loved all three. I think the one I gravitated towards was Kaz's, not the purple one, weirdly. It was a very dark purple that Orla sewed with, and it was very nice, and it did win the pattern challenge because it was the best made. But I loved the very, very light sort of abstract silk. Was it a silk? I don't know. But whatever Kaz chose made for a gorgeous dress. And I do think that it was hiding a few mistakes that I wouldn't have clocked from afar at all. But obviously when Esme got close to it, she spotted them. So Kaz came last, Yasmin second, Orla won the pattern challenge, and it was beautifully made. Beautifully made. So I was happy with the level of difficulty. I thought that's doable, but it will present lots of challenges, which is exactly right, I think. You don't want to give them something that's impossible. So that was great, and Orla won it. And I think Orla's only been sewing for 4 years, I think they said, or at the time of filming, she'd only been sewing for 4 years. And she is really, really technically really good. I'm very impressed. Like, obviously, creatively, I love what she makes, but technically, very, very, very good. Impressive for 4 years, really. Then we moved to the transformation challenge, which I've said it before, it's not my favorite challenge, usually because it's something a little bit impractical and silly. Like, yes, I will mention again, the festival tents into festival outfit. Not my favorite moment of this show. But this one I thought was almost like not, like, what was it? They had to take sheer garments and turn them into a sheer garment. I don't know. I was confused by it. Like, it was a transformation, obviously, but like, what? Anyway, they did well. They did very well. They made more sheer garments out of existing sheer garments, and they did the task, and they did very cool looking clothes. Yeah. And I think my favorite was Yasmin's, actually, which was a sort of all black pleated bodice, polka dot tulle, I'm going to guess, layered over some other sheer fabric. It was the only one that I thought, yeah, I could potentially look at that, try that on. Maybe not wear it, but I would try it on. And Esme, bless her, she was like, this looks so Spanish. Like, you know, she was trying to say flamenco dancers, I'm pretty sure. And Patrick was like, what are you talking about? Giant polka dots, there's nothing more flamenco than that. So she was on the money. She was 100% correct. Like, traditional flamenco costume always features polka dots, which I think are called lunares in Spain. I think that's what they call them. But yeah, she was absolutely correct that it had flamenco vibes because of it. So I got you, Esme. I got you, Esme. Here she is in egg form / pincushion form. Lovely Yasmin. I really enjoy her on TV. Like everything she says and does really makes me giggle and brings me a smile. She's great. Obviously, she knows her stuff like to a T as well. So that was the transformation challenge, and I think Yasmin won. Did she win? No. So wrong. These are my notes, my chaotic notes for the last time. Oh, messy. So Kaz won the transformation challenge, which was sort of a white MAC fabric with lace, black lace combined. It was interesting. Not my favorite, as I say. Yasmin's was my favorite, but I recognized that the transformation was very effective, and she sews amazingly. So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. That was the transformation challenge. I'm a bit sad that I didn't love the last one because I have loved some of them. I haven't hated all of them. So, but this one I didn't even hate. I was just like, huh? It's like take a bridesmaid dress and make a bridesmaid dress again. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me being confused by it. Then Made to Measure, the final challenge of the final episode of series 11. And again, I got teary because they get to dress, instead of their usual models, they get someone from their family or a friend. They can choose someone significant, you know, a special someone in their lives. And I loved who they chose. So Orla chose her sibling, and they were speaking in Gaelic, which I thought was so sweet. It felt like they were home instantly, and I really liked that. It was beautiful to see just that bond. Then Yasmin had her fiance, and oh my God, they love each other. Like, so it was so sweet. I don't know, she was trying things onto her fiance and then giving her a kiss, and I loved that. It was really familiar and sweet, and just like, oh, I just loved it. And Kaz had her daughter, who I found it hilarious that they were wearing the same exact glasses, the same frames, different colors, but the same frames. I just thought, oh, that's cute. And yeah, so that already always a lovely moment when they get their personalized models, I'm going to call it. And then the challenge was to make something trompe-l'oeil. So that means that it's a garment that tricks the eye in one way or another. So I thought that was a very good brief because it's you can interpret it in so many different ways. And it gave them the freedom to do something quite avant-garde, which they all did, which I love to see. And I thought how beautiful the different directions that they went in. So we had Orla, who made sort of an all black, very serious gown, but then there was a reveal of rainbow tubes. They were pool noodles, is that what you call them? But yeah, so when her sibling was front on, you saw all black, and then to the side this rainbow explosion, and I thought it was beautiful and meaningful for her non-binary sibling. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Then Kaz made a gorgeous orange dress. I really liked the orange dress, and in sort of a satin of some sort, maybe a Duchess satin, not sure, but it looked amazing on her fiance, and with a tulle structure that looked really cool. I didn't fully understand. They mentioned something about like a trompe-l'oeil element to the tie. I didn't quite see that, but the trompe-l'oeil element of the tulle was very effective, very, very cool. And I love that at one point she said she was an hour behind, and she managed to climb back up and deliver a finished, very, very successful make. So I was proud of her for like climbing back up from desperation at one point. And then the most incredible make for me was Kaz's. And I said before the final, I said I had no idea who was going to take the crown, and I really didn't. But once Kaz talked about this make and she started bringing it to life, I was like, Kaz is going to win. She made a dress inspired by her own experience of having open heart surgery. So the dress had like an outside gold faux leather rib cage that she created so effectively, and then a big zip in the middle which I'm guessing symbolizes, well, she said symbolizes herself being open on the operation table. And also, I think it would symbolize the scar that you probably have after something like that, right? And there was a little bit of satin, red satin, symbolizing the heart inside this rib cage. When she explained it and when we saw the sort of drawing, I thought, oh, wow, if she can pull this off, it's going to be so incredible. And she really did. I'm not even sure how she did it. There was boning inside the faux leather to create the ribs, and she struggled to sew it because it was clearly a lot of layers, very thick. Boning's usually like plastic, not original boning, but the boning you buy these days, yes. So the machine does not love that. I talk from experience. And yeah, she created this incredible golden rib structure, and the dress was really cool. And I thought she did such an amazing job. And for her to have her daughter model it, I thought was beautiful. All three makes were very effective, but Kaz's looked like it could be on a runway. So it gave me Moschino vibes, for example. You know, when some houses will do really, really out there garments, outfits to send down the runway, like really avant-garde, really out there. It's more art than clothes. And I thought Kaz could walk head held high after sending that down the catwalk. Honestly, I thought it was incredible, very fashion forward. It was incredible. And quite rightly, it won her the crown, or the sad little mannequin that is the trophy for the Great British Sewing Bee. It always makes me laugh. I'm like, oh my God, the big moment. And then you get this thing. It's not the best trophy on TV, I'm going to say. But what a ride. I really loved the final. I loved not knowing which way it was going to go when it started. But once we heard Kaz's plan, I was like, yeah, if this works, unless she has a disaster, that sounds like a winner. And it was. So very happy for Kaz. Very happy for Orla and Yasmin as well, because they did themselves proud. And it was beautiful. It was really nice to see all the rest of the contestants coming back. I always enjoy that. And what a beautiful show. Like, I will never get tired of watching it. I think this year I had less annoying moments of thinking, well, it's impossible. You know, you can't make a three-piece suit in 2 hours. That's ridiculous. And I feel like in previous series, I have felt like that. This year, I thought everything was difficult, don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't be able to do it under the pressure and in the time constraints. But I thought no one had like disasters, complete disasters, which makes me think that everything was kind of fair. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed some transformation challenges. I adored basically all of the made to measures and where people's minds went with them. I think that's one of my favorite things, is seeing how each sewist interprets a brief. Thank you so much for coming along on the Great British Sewing Bee journey with me and watching these weekly chats. It's been a lot of fun. From next week, we'll go back to mostly Friday vlogs. I might throw in some extras, but I won't commit to doing a second vlog every week because it has been a lot of work squeezing it in and editing it and all that comes with it. But you might get extra little vlogs here and there. We'll see. We'll see what I get up to, how I get on, all of that. But thank you so much. If you enjoyed this vlog, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Tell your friends, everyone you know who makes, tell them to take a look at my channel, because I'd love for the word to spread. And go and take a look at all my other vlogs. I have quite a few now. So I talk about sewing mostly, but a lot of knitting is popping up recently, and the odd other hobby, embroidery. All of the things. Anyway, until I see you next time, keep making and keep chatting about making. Bye.